The sound of the parade ground was like thunder that morning. The city was alive with colors, flags waving in the summer breeze, drums beating in rhythm with boots striking the ground. It was the annual military parade, the day when everyone came to honor the country's heroes. Families stood by the road, waving small flags and cheering as proud soldiers marched past in polished uniforms, their medals glittering under the bright sun. Among the crowd, there were mothers holding their children high to see the spectacle, young boys dreaming of becoming heroes one day, and elders who wiped their eyes remembering their own time in service. Everyone was smiling, everyone except for one young woman. She stood near the back of the crowd, wearing a uniform that looked nothing like the ones on the parade ground. It was old, faded, and patched in places where the fabric had torn. The buttons were scratched, and the shoes she wore had lost their shine long ago. Some people glanced at her and whispered. A man nudged his friend and said, "Look at her. Who does she think she is? That uniform must be from a second-hand store." Another woman laughed softly and added, "She wants attention. She's not even a real soldier. Just look at her boots." The young woman heard every word, but she did not flinch. Her hands were clenched into fists, and her jaw was set with quiet determination. Her name was Asha. Asha had not come here for their approval. She had not worn the old uniform for show. It was her father's uniform. It was the only thing she had left of him, the only piece of his memory she could hold on to. He had been a soldier, a brave, fearless man who had given everything for the country. He had worn this uniform on his last mission, the one from which he never returned. Every patch on the fabric told a story. Every scratch on the buttons spoke of hardship, but the crowd could not see that. To them, it was just an ugly, worn-out piece of clothing. They did not know that Asha had spent the entire night washing and pressing it, her fingers trembling as she tried to make it look respectable. The parade continued. Soldiers marched past, their rifles glinting in the sun, their steps perfectly in sync. Children clapped and waved, but Asha stood still, holding a single medal in her hand. It was her father's medal, the one he had been awarded for bravery. She kept it close to her chest, as if it could give her strength. She had come here for a reason. She wanted to stand tall in honor of her father, to let the world know that he still lived in her heart. But as the whispers grew louder around her, her courage began to falter. "Why is she standing like that?" someone muttered. "Is she trying to salute the soldiers? What a joke. Maybe she wants to be on TV," another person said. "Look at that uniform. It's a disgrace." Asha closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "A soldier is not judged by his clothes, Asha. A soldier is judged by his heart. Stand tall, no matter what the world says." She opened her eyes and lifted her hand in a salute as the soldiers passed. Her arm trembled, but she did not lower it. The laughter around her grew. Some people even took out their phones to record her, their faces mocking. Then something unexpected happened. One of the soldiers marching by turned his head slightly and saw her. His face hardened for a moment, then softened. He whispered something to the soldier beside him, but they kept marching. Asha felt her cheeks burn. Part of her wanted to run away, to escape the humiliation, but she couldn't. Her father never ran from a fight, and neither would she. As the parade neared its end, a group of high-ranking officers began to approach. They were walking behind the main formation, their uniforms decorated with countless medals and ribbons. Among them was a man everyone recognized, a general known for his strictness and discipline. His name was General Rana. People in the crowd began to cheer louder, waving their flags with more excitement. "There he is, the hero of the Northern Front," someone shouted. General Rana. The man walked with authority, his sharp eyes scanning the crowd. That was when his gaze fell on Asha. For a brief moment, time seemed to stop. General Rana's eyes narrowed as he looked at her old, worn uniform. Asha felt his stare pierce through her, and she quickly lowered her hand, afraid that he might scold her for wearing something she had no right to wear. Her heart pounded. She wanted to explain, but the words stuck in her throat. General Rana slowed his steps. One of his officers whispered, "Sir, shall we move forward?" But the general didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the young woman holding the medal. He recognized that medal. He had seen it before years ago on the chest of a brave soldier who had saved his life. Asha looked down, clutching the medal tighter. She thought he would shout at her or order the guards to remove her from the parade ground. The crowd was watching now, their mocking smiles turning into curious expressions. A man muttered, "She's in trouble now." Asha's heart raced. She was ready to face whatever came next. Her father had taught her to face fear with courage, even if her voice trembled. Suddenly, the general stepped toward her. The entire crowd fell silent. Every camera turned toward them. Asha's breath caught in her throat. He stopped just a few feet away and stared at her uniform. His voice was deep and commanding when he finally spoke. "Where did you get that?" he asked. Asha swallowed hard. Her voice was barely a whisper, as she replied, "It belonged to my father, sir." The general's eyes flickered with something pain, maybe, or memory. "Your father?" he said quietly. "Who was he?" Asha's eyes filled with tears. She pulled out an old photo from her pocket and held it up. "This was my father, Captain Arjun Mehta." The general froze, his jaw tightened. The name hit him like a wave. He remembered Captain Arjun, the man who had once risked everything to save his unit. He remembered the night when Arjun had refused to retreat, standing his ground until every soldier was safe. He remembered the gunfire, the chaos, and the last time he had seen Arjun alive. His throat tightened as he looked at the young woman standing before him. But before he could say anything, a voice from the crowd shouted, "Is she telling the truth? Or is she just making up stories?" Another person laughed. "If her father was a real hero, why does she look like a beggar?" The words cut Asha like a knife, but she didn't cry. She looked straight at the general and said, "My father taught me that a soldier's honor is not in how the world sees you, but in how you stand for the truth. I came here today to honor him, not to be mocked." The general's face darkened, his jaw clenching. He turned to face the crowd, his voice booming like thunder. "Enough." The crowd went silent immediately. His words carried a weight that silenced every whisper. "Do you even know who this young woman is? Do you know whose uniform she wears?" His voice shook slightly as he pointed to the medal in Usha's hand. "That medal? I know that medal. It belongs to a hero. A man who gave his life so you could stand here today and cheer. You mock his daughter because her uniform is old. Shame on you." The crowd shifted uneasily. Some lowered their heads, feeling guilty. Others looked at Asha with new eyes, realizing there was something deeper behind her presence. But Asha wasn't focused on them. Her eyes were on the general, and she could see something stirring in his expression, a mix of recognition and something else. Something she couldn't understand. Then, without warning, the general stepped back and gave her a crisp salute. The sound of his hand cutting through the air was sharp, commanding, and filled with respect. The entire parade ground fell silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Asha stared at him, stunned. Her throat tightened as tears blurred her vision. But just as her heart began to swell with pride, the general said something unexpected, something that sent a chill down her spine. Captain Arjun, he didn't just die a hero, he died carrying a secret, one that many tried to bury. Asha's eyes widened. "What secret?" she asked, her voice shaking. The general's gaze hardened. "Not here," he said, "not in front of them. Come to the headquarters tomorrow morning. We need to talk." Before Asha could reply, the drums began to beat again, signaling the end of the parade. The general turned and walked away, leaving her with a storm of questions swirling in her mind. The crowd watched her silently now, some with guilt, some with curiosity. But Asha barely noticed. She looked at her father's medal, then at the general's back as he disappeared into the distance. What did he mean by a secret? Why did he look at her like that? As the sun dipped behind the horizon, Asha stood alone on the parade ground. The laughter was gone, replaced by a heavy silence. Her hands trembled as she whispered to herself, "What did you leave behind, Papa? What did they hide from me?" She didn't know that the answer would change everything. The night after the parade felt heavier than any night Asha had ever known. The general's words echoed in her mind like a drum beat she could not silence. Captain Arjun, he didn't just die a hero, he died carrying a secret. One that many tried to bury. She couldn't sleep. She sat on the floor of her small room, the old uniform folded neatly beside her. The medal lay on her palm, catching the weak light of the single bulb above her. Every time she looked at it, she felt her father's presence. It was as if he was watching her, telling her not to be afraid. But what secret could he have carried? Her father had always been a man of honor, a man who believed in truth and sacrifice. What could the general know that she didn't? The voices of the mocking crowd came back to her memory, how they had laughed, pointed fingers, and whispered cruel words. For a moment, her chest tightened with anger. But then she remembered the way the general had saluted her, the way his voice had silenced the entire parade. That single moment had washed away the shame and replaced it with something new, resolve. She had to know the truth. The next morning, Asha rose early. She barely touched her breakfast and spent most of the morning polishing her father's medal and carefully folding the uniform. She wore a simple sour kameez, but she tied her hair neatly like her father always liked. She felt nervous, her stomach in knots. What if the general didn't want to see her? What if he had only said those words out of pity? Her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Kapoor, knocked on her door. "Asha Beta, I saw you on TV yesterday," she said softly. "People are talking about you." Asha froze. "On TV?" Mrs. Kapoor nodded. "The news channels showed the parade. They showed the general saluting you. People are wondering who you are. Some are saying good things, some not so good. You know how people are." Asha sighed. "I didn't want to be on TV. I just wanted to honor Papa. Double quotes. Mrs. Kapoor's eyes softened. "Your father was a good man. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and if that general saluted you, then you did something right." Those words gave Asha a little strength. She grabbed her bag, put her father's medal inside, and walked toward the military headquarters. The headquarters loomed large, with tall gates guarded by soldiers. Asha felt a chill run through her spine as she approached. She had never been inside a place like this. The guards at the gate stopped her. "Who are you here to see?" one of them asked, his voice firm. I'm here to see General Rana," Asha said nervously. The guard raised an eyebrow. "The general doesn't meet civilians without an appointment." Asha's heart sank. Please, he told me to come. Yesterday, at the parade, he told me to come. The second guard looked at her closely. Wait, are you the girl from yesterday? The one with the medal? Asha nodded slowly. The guard exchanged glances with his partner, then picked up the phone. After a brief conversation, he opened the gate. Go to the main office. Someone will escort you to the general. Walking through the compound, Asha felt like every step echoed too loudly. Soldiers passed by, some glancing at her curiously. She kept her head down, gripping her bag tightly. Finally, an officer led her to a large office with wooden doors. He knocked, and a deep voice from inside said, "Enter." The officer gestured for Asha to go in. She swallowed hard and stepped inside. General Rana was standing by the window, his back to her. The morning sun streamed through the glass, casting his tall figure in shadow. Without turning, he said, "You came?" "Yes, sir," Asha replied. Softly. He turned slowly, his sharp eyes studying her. "Sit," he said, pointing to a chair. Asha obeyed, feeling small in the large room filled with photographs, maps, and medals. "Do you know why I saluted you yesterday?" the general asked. Asha hesitated. Because of my father." The general nodded slightly. "Yes, Captain Arjun Mehra was not just any soldier. He was one of the bravest men I've ever known. He saved my life once, and I never forgot that." His voice softened for a moment, but then grew hard again. But his story did not end the way people think it did. Asha leaned forward, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" The general sighed deeply, as if the weight of years sat on his shoulders. "Your father's last mission. It was supposed to be a rescue operation, but something went wrong. The official report says he died in battle, but that is not the whole truth." Asha's breath caught. "What truth?" The general's eyes darkened. "There was a betrayal. Someone on the inside leaked information to the enemy. Your father found out. He tried to stop it, but it cost him his life. And the traitor is still out there." Asha's hands trembled. "A traitor? You mean someone in the army betrayed him?" "Yes," the general said quietly, "but I could never prove it." The evidence disappeared, and those who knew stayed silent. Asha felt her chest tighten. Her father had always taught her about honor, loyalty, and sacrifice. To think that someone had betrayed Hemet was unbearable. "Why? Are you telling me this now?" she asked, her voice shaking. The general's gaze softened. "Because when I saw you yesterday, standing there in that uniform, holding his medal, I realized that his story isn't over. You have his courage, Asha, and maybe, together, we can find the truth." Asha felt a mix of fear and determination. "What do I have to do?" The general hesitated, as if weighing his words. "There's an old letter, your father's last letter. It was never delivered to you. It may hold clues about what happened. That night I will try to find it." Asha nodded slowly. "And if we find out who betrayed him," the general's jaw tightened, "then we give him the justice he deserves." But before they could continue, there was a knock on the door. An officer entered, his face pale. "Sir, there's a problem," he said. The general frowned. "What kind of problem?" The officer glanced at Asha nervously. "The media. They're outside the gates. They found out about the salute yesterday. They want to know who she is." Asha's heart skipped a beat. "Media? Why?" The general's eyes narrowed. "Because the world saw what happened yesterday. And some people will not like that you carry Captain Arjun's name." Asha felt a chill run down her spine. Who wouldn't like it? The general looked at her with a grim expression. "The same people who tried to bury the truth. They will not want this story to come out." Asha swallowed hard. For the first time, she felt the weight of what she was stepping into. It wasn't just about honoring her father anymore. It was about uncovering something dangerous. By the time she left the headquarters, the media frenzy had already started. Reporters were gathered outside the gates, shouting questions. "Are you Captain Arjun's daughter? Why did the general salute you? Are you planning to join the army?" Asha tried to push through, but the crowd of cameras and microphones was overwhelming. She kept her head down and walked as fast as she could. That night, when she returned home, she found her door slightly open. Her heart dropped. She stepped inside cautiously. The room was a mess, drawers pulled open, papers scattered everywhere. Someone had been inside. Her father's box, the one with his letters, was gone. Asha froze in the doorway, her breath quickening. Someone had broken in. Someone was after her father's things. She picked up the phone and called General Rana. "Sir," she said, her voice shaking, "someone broke into my house. They took my father's letters." The general's voice was low and tense. "Stay calm, Asha. Lock your doors. I'll send someone to watch over you. This is only the beginning." "The beginning of what?" she asked. "The beginning of finding the truth," he replied, "and the people who don't want it to be found will do anything to stop us." Asha sat on the floor, her hands trembling. She clutched her father's medal to her chest, tears running down her face. She whispered, "Papa, what did they take from me? What are they afraid I will find?" Outside, the night was silent, but Asha knew that silence could be dangerous. Someone out there wanted to keep her father's secret buried, and now they knew she was looking. Asha barely slept that night. The threatening message on her phone burned into her mind like fire. "Stop digging into the past, or you'll regret it." She sat on her bed, staring at the screen. Her heart thudded in her chest as questions swirled in her mind. Who sent the message? Was it the same person who had broken into her house? What were they so desperate to hide? She glanced at her father's medal lying on the table. It glinted under the dim light, almost like it was whispering to her. Don't stop. She remembered her father's voice, calm and steady, even when life was hard. Asha, truth is like fire. It burns everything false around it. Never be afraid to find it. Asha clenched her jaw. I won't stop, Papa, she whispered, no matter what they do. The next morning, she went to see General Rana again. The streets were busy with traffic, but she felt like she was walking through fog. Every shadow made her nervous. Every passing glance felt like someone was watching her. When she reached the military headquarters, the guards recognized her. One of them, said Miss Asha. The general is expecting you. She was led straight into his office. General Rana was sitting behind his desk, scanning a file with a grim expression. He looked up when she entered. You look tired, he said. They broke into my house last night, Asha blurted out. They took my father's letters, and then someone sent me a message. Stop digging into the past, or you'll regret it. The general's face darkened. He leaned forward. Did you keep the message? Asha nodded and handed him her phone. He read it and muttered, cowards. They're trying to scare you. Who are they? She asked. Who would break into my home and send me threats? The general tapped the table with his fingers. I have my suspicions, but I need proof. Whoever betrayed your father all those years ago, they have power. They've hidden in the shadows for a long time, and now they see you as a threat, because you're asking questions they don't want answered. Asha swallowed hard. But the letters are gone. That's all I had. The general shook his head. Not all. Your father left more than letters behind. He left clues. We just have to find them. The general opened a drawer and pulled out a small, weathered envelope. He placed it on the desk in front of her. I found this in the archives last night. It's addressed to you. Asha's breath caught. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the envelope. The paper was yellowed, the handwriting unmistakably her father's, strong and neat. Her chest tightened as she broke the seal and unfolded the letter. My dearest Asha, if you are reading this, I may not be by your side anymore. There are things I cannot tell you in person, things that might put you in danger, but you must know the truth. There is someone among us who wears a uniform of honor but carries the heart of a traitor. I have seen their betrayal with my own eyes. I have written down everything I know and hidden it where only you can find it. Tunder, the place where you used to play as a child, the place I told you was our secret fort. Promise me, Asha, if you ever find this letter, you will be brave. You will not let my sacrifice be in vain. With all my love. Papa. Asha's hands shook as she read the words again and again. Tears streamed down her cheeks. He left something for me, she whispered. The general nodded slowly. Do you know where this secret fort is? Asha closed her eyes, trying to remember. She saw flashes of her childhood running through fields, hiding under trees, laughing with her father as he built a little wooden shelter behind their old house. Her eyes snapped open. I know where it is. That evening, Asha and the general drove to the outskirts of the city where her childhood home still stood. The house was abandoned now, the walls cracked and covered in dust. Asha walked through the yard, memories flooding back. She could almost hear her father's voice calling her name. She led the general to the back of the house, where an old tree stood. Beneath it was a patch of earth that looked slightly uneven. Asha dropped to her knees and began digging with her hands. The soil was hard, but she didn't stop. Her nails broke, her fingers turned brown with dirt, but she kept digging. Finally, her hand hit something solid. She pulled out a small tin box, rusty and dented but still intact. Her heart raced as she opened it. Inside were several folded papers, a small notebook, and a photograph of her father in uniform. The general carefully took the notebook and flipped through it. His face hardened as he read. These are mission details, he said, and names. Asha, your father wrote down the name of the traitor. Asha leaned over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the page. The name leaped out at her like a snake. Major Vikram Sethi. Who is he? She asked. The general's jaw tightened. He was part of our unit, a trusted officer. We all thought he died years ago. But if this is true, he didn't die. He ran, and he's been hiding ever since. Asha's blood boiled. He betrayed Papa. The general nodded grimly. It seems so. Your father must have found out what he did. That's why he died that night. Suddenly, the sound of a snapping twig made them both turn. A shadow moved among the trees. Who's there? The general barked. Before they could react, a figure bolted from the bushes, running toward the road. Asha caught a glimpse of a man wearing a hood, his face hidden. Stop, the general shouted, chasing after him. Asha followed, her heart pounding, but the man was fast. He disappeared into the darkness, leaving only the sound of footsteps fading away. The general returned, his face tense. Someone was watching us. They know we found the notebook. Asha's chest tightened. Do you think it was him, Major Sethi? Maybe, the general said, or someone working for him. Either way, we have to move fast. We can't let them destroy this evidence. That night, back at her small apartment, Asha couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow outside her window made her skin crawl. She locked the door and hid the notebook. Under her pillow, she called the general. What if they come after me? She asked. His voice was calm but firm. I have placed 2 men outside your building. They'll keep watch, but you must be careful. Don't go anywhere alone. Asha lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Promise me, Asha, you will be brave. She whispered, I promise. Papa, I'll find the truth, no matter what. The next morning, the media was everywhere. News channels had picked up the story of the girl in the old uniform and the general's salute. Some praised her for honoring her father, others called her an Social media was flooded with her photos. Asha hated the attention. She didn't want fame. She only wanted justice for her father. But she knew the attention could also make her a target. Later that day, the general called her to his office again. He looked tired, as if he hadn't slept. Asha, he said, I've been digging through old records. Major Sethi's file is missing. Someone erased him from history, but I found something, a lead. He has a brother, still living in a small village near the border. If we find him, we might find Sethi. Asha's heart raced. When do we go? The general gave her a long look. This will be dangerous. If Sethi is still alive, he won't want us to find him. I don't care, Asha said, her voice firm. I need to know the truth. For Papa? The general nodded. Then we leave. Tomorrow morning. Asha didn't sleep after the stone shattered her window. She sat on the floor, clutching her father's metal like it was a shield against the dark. Every creak of the night wind against the broken glass made her heart pound. The note's words haunted her. Stop or you'll join your father. Whoever sent it wasn't just trying to scare her. They were warning her to stop looking for the truth. But stopping wasn't an option anymore. The more she learned about her father's final mission, the more determined she became. Her father's honor had been stained by betrayal, and if she didn't clear his name, no one would by dawn. General Rana's vehicle pulled up outside her building. Asha stepped out, a small bag slung over her shoulder. She had only packed the essentials, some clothes, a notebook, and her father's medal. The broken window still had shards of glass glinting in the morning light. The general looked at the damage and frowned. They're getting bolder, he said. Did you see anyone? Asha shook her head. Just the note. They want me to stop. The general's eyes hardened. Then they're afraid. That means we're getting closer. Their journey began. With silence, the general drove the jeep, while 2 other soldiers sat in the back, keeping watch. Asha sat in the passenger seat, clutching the metal in her hand. The city slowly gave way to open roads, green fields, and distant hills. As they drove, Asha's mind wandered back to her father. She remembered how he used to take her on drives like this, pointing out the beauty of the countryside. He would say, a soldier's heart should be like the land, Usha, strong, quiet, and unshaken by storms. The general glanced at her. You look lost in thought. Asha forced a small smile. I was thinking about Papa. He loved these roads. The general nodded. He was a good man. We all trusted him. When he died, it was a blow to everyone. But when I found out about the betrayal, I swore I would one day find the truth. Seeing you yesterday at the parade, it felt like fate was reminding me of that promise. Asha's chest tightened with emotion. Did you ever suspect Major Seth before? The general's jaw tightened. I did, but without proof. My hands were tied. The higher-ups didn't want questions. They wanted a clean story for the public. A soldier dies a hero, and that was the end of it. But Arjun deserved more than lies. And now, we'll finish what we started. They reached the small border village by afternoon. The place looked frozen in time, mud houses, narrow dirt paths, and children running barefoot in the streets. The air smelled of smoke and fresh bread. But the village also had an air of watchfulness, as though everyone knew a stranger's face immediately. The general parked the jeep near an old well in the village square. Stay close, he said to Asha. People here don't trust outsiders. Easily, Asha nodded. The villagers paused in their work to watch as the group approached a small house at the edge of the square. It was old, with faded blue paint and a broken fence. A man sat outside on a wooden bench, his face weathered by years of hardship. The general spoke first. Are you Ramesh, Sethi? The man's eyes flickered with suspicion. Who's asking? I'm General Rana, he said, his voice steady. We're here about your brother Megor Vikram Sethi. At the mention of the name, Ramesh's face paled. He stood up abruptly, looking around as if someone might be listening. I don't know what you're talking about, he said quickly. Vikram died years ago. The general's gaze hardened. We know he didn't. We have proof he's alive. Ramesh's lips tightened. If you know that, then you also. No, I have nothing to say. Leave, before you bring trouble here. Asha stepped forward. Please, she said softly. My father, Captain Arjun Mehra, died because of him. I need to know why. Ramesh's eyes widened at the name. For a moment, his face softened with something like guilt, but then he shook his head. You don't understand. If I talk, they'll come for me too. Who? Asha asked Vikram's men. Ramesh whispered. He's not just hiding. He's built something dangerous. The general stepped closer. Ramesh, if you know where your brother is, you need to tell us. He betrayed his country. You can't protect him. Ramesh looked torn, his hands trembling. I don't know where he is exactly, but I hear things. He moves between the border towns. He has people watching him. He is not the same man anymore. He's dangerous. Why did he betray my father? Asha asked, her voice shaking. Ramesh's face twisted in pain. I don't know all of it, but I know this: your father found out something about Vikram's dealings. Vikram was working with people he shouldn't have. He sold secrets for money. Your father tried to stop him, and he stopped, his voice breaking. And that's why Arjun never came back. Asha's breath caught in her throat. Her father had died because of greed. The thought made her blood boil. The general placed a hand on Ramesh's shoulder. If you hear anything more about Vikram, contact me. He handed Ramesh a small card with his number. Ramesh hesitated, then nodded. Be careful. If Vikram knows you're looking for him, he won't stay quiet. As they left the village, Asha sat silently in the jeep, staring at the horizon. Her father's metal felt heavier than ever. The general broke the silence. We have a name and a trail. That's more than we had before. But this is where it gets dangerous. Asha, if Vikram knows we're close, he will strike first. Asha clenched her fists. I don't care. He took my father from me. I'm not afraid of him. The general glanced at her. You should be. He's not a soldier anymore. He's something worse. A man with no loyalty, no honor, and no fear of spilling blood. When they reached their temporary camp near the border, night had fallen. The soldiers set up tents, and the general sat by a small fire, going through the notebook again. Asha sat across from him, watching the flames dance. What will we do next? She asked. We wait, the general said. Ramesh may give us more information, and I've sent men to search the nearby towns. We'll find Vikram. Asha stared into the fire, her mind racing. She thought of the man who had thrown the stone, the warning note, and the shadow watching them at the old house. Could that have been Vikram himself? Just as the night grew quiet, a loud crack shattered the air. A gunshot. The soldiers jumped to their feet, rifles ready. The general pulled Asha behind him. Stay low, he barked. Another shot rang out, this time hitting the jeep's side mirror. Asha's heart pounded as the camp erupted into chaos. Where is it coming from? One soldier shouted. The general scanned the darkness. Sniper, he yelled. Find him. Asha's hands shook as she crouched behind a crate. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. For the first time, the reality of danger hit her like a wave. The soldiers fired into the trees, but the attacker was fast. After a few minutes, the gunfire stopped, and silence fell. One soldier returned, breathing hard. He's gone, sir, but we found this. He held up a piece of cloth, a black scarf with a strange symbol on it. The general's eyes narrowed. That's Vikram's mark. He knows we're here. Later that night, Asha couldn't sleep. She sat by the fire, staring at the scarf. Was that him? She asked the general. Maybe, he said, or one of his men. Either way, we've just stepped into his world, and he's not going to stop now. Asha clutched her father's medal. I'm not going to stop either. The note from Vikram burned in Asha's mind long after the soldier handed it to General Rana. You want me? Come and find me. But she stays out of this war. I'll finish what I started with her father. Asha stared at the rough handwriting. It felt as if the ink itself carried poison. Her father's death had always been a wound, but now it felt raw again. The man who had betrayed her father was alive. Not only alive, but mocking them, daring them to come closer. The general folded the note and slipped it into his pocket. His face was stern, but his eyes were filled with a stormy anger. He's taunting us, he said, his voice low. He wants to control the game, but he just made a mistake. Asha frowned. What mistake? The general met her gaze. He revealed something. He's watching us. He knows where we are. And if he's watching us, it means he's closer than we think. The camp was tense that morning. Soldiers patrolled the perimeter, their rifles ready. Asha sat on a crate near the jeep, trying to calm her racing heart. Every sound, a snapping twig, a distant bark of a dog made her flinch. General Rana approached her. Asha, I need you to understand something, he said. Vikram is dangerous. He's not just a traitor. He's built an entire network over the years. Smugglers, mercenaries, people who'll kill without thinking twice. You're brave, but bravery alone won't protect you. Asha gripped her father's medal tightly. I'm not afraid of him. He took my father from me. I have to face him. The general sighed. You remind me of your father, stubborn and fearless. But we need to be smart. If we rush in, we'll lose. Later that day, one of the soldiers returned from scouting the nearby village. Sir, he reported, there's a man who claims he's seen someone matching Vikram's description. He says the man comes to the old mill on the edge of town at night. The general nodded. The old mill. He turned to Asha. That's our first real lead. We'll check it out tonight. Asha's heart raced. This could be the first step toward confronting the man who had haunted her family for years. As night fell, the group prepared for the mission. The general gathered 3 soldiers and turned to Asha. You're staying here, he said. Firmly, Asha's eyes widened. What? No, I'm coming with you. No, you're not, the general said, his tone sharp. This isn't a game, Asha. If Vikram is there, it will be dangerous. I can't risk your life, but it's my fight too. Asha argued, her voice trembling with frustration. He killed my father. Don't you understand? I need to see him. I need to look him in the eyes and ask him why. The general's face softened, but only slightly. And you will, I promise you. But not like this. Not tonight. Asha clenched her fists, her chest heaving. She wanted to scream, to fight, but the look in the general's eyes told her it was useless. He had already decided. The soldiers left just before midnight. Asha sat alone by the fire, staring at the flickering flames. Her mind was a storm. What if they didn't come back? What if this was their only chance to find Vikram? She stood up, pacing back and forth. Every part of her screamed to follow them. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Courage is not waiting for the right moment. Asha, it's creating it. Unable to sit still, Asha grabbed her flashlight and followed the narrow dirt path leading toward the village. She stayed in the shadows, careful not to be seen. The night was cold, and every step felt heavier than the last. But her resolve kept her moving. The old mill stood at the edge of the village. Its roof half collapsed, the wooden walls creaking in the wind. She could see faint lights inside flashlights moving slowly. She crouched behind a tree, watching as the general and his men entered the building. Suddenly, a noise behind her made her freeze. Lost, are we? Voice whispered. Asha spun around, her heart leaping to her throat. A man stood there, his face hidden under a hood. His eyes glinted in the moonlight. Before she could react, he lunged. Asha stumbled backward, but he grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her. The general told you to stay put, didn't he? The man hissed. But you're just like your father. You never listen. Who are you? Asha cried, struggling. Against his grip, the man laughed softly. Someone who's been waiting to meet you. Asha's blood ran cold. He leaned close, his breath hot against her ear. Smart girl. Inside the mill, General Rana and his men found nothing but old crates and dust. It's a setup, one of the soldiers said. The general's eyes narrowed. Where's Asha? That was when they heard her scream. Outside, Asha fought with every ounce of strength she had. She kicked, twisted, and managed to bite Vikram's hand. He growled and shoved her against a tree. You have your father's fire, he said, his voice filled with mock admiration. He was the same way always, ready to fight. And look where it got him. Asha's eyes burned with fury. You killed him, she shouted. Vikram smirked. I didn't kill him. He killed himself by trusting the wrong people. What do you mean? Asha demanded, her voice shaking. Vikram's grin widened. Ask your precious general. He knows more about your father's death than he tells you. Before Asha could respond, the general and his men burst out of the mill, weapons raised. Vikram, the general roared. Vikram shoved Asha aside and dashed into the forest. Gunfire erupted as the soldiers gave chase. The night filled with the deafening crack of bullets and the crunch of boots on dry leaves. Asha scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding. She wanted to chase him too, but the general grabbed her arm. Are you hurt? He asked, his eyes scanning her for injuries. I'm fine, she said breathlessly. But he was here. He talked to me, he said. She stopped, the words catching in her throat. What did he say? The general pressed. Asha hesitated. He said, You know more about my father's death than you're telling me. But the general's face went pale for a split second before he masked it with his usual sternness. Vikram lies, Asha. Don't believe a word he says. But Asha saw the flicker of something like guilt in his eyes. The soldiers returned, shaking their heads. He's gone, sir. He knows this forest too well. The general cursed under his breath. We'll get him next time. But for now, we need to leave. This area isn't safe. As they walked back to the camp, Asha couldn't stop thinking about what Vikram had said. Ask your precious general. Why would he say that? Was it just a trick to make her doubt Rana? Or was there some truth to it? That night, Asha couldn't sleep. She watched the general from across the campfire. He was staring into the flames, his jaw tight, as if carrying a weight she couldn't see. Finally, she stood and walked over. General, she said softly, is there something you're not telling me about my father? The general looked up, his eyes dark. For a moment he didn't answer. Then he sighed. Asha, there are things about that mission that I can't explain yet. Not because I don't want to, but because the truth is complicated. If you knew everything, it might put you in even more danger. Asha clenched her fists. I don't care about danger. I just want the truth. The general's gaze hardened. You will have it. But first, we have to bring Vikram in. He holds pieces of the puzzle I can't reach without him. The image of Vikram standing at the edge of the forest haunted Asha long after he vanished into the darkness. That mocking saluted wasn't just a gesture. It was a message. I'm watching you. I'm closer than you think. She couldn't sleep that night. She sat near the dying campfire, the flames flickering weakly against the night breeze. The general was asleep in his tent, but Asha's thoughts were too heavy for rest. Vikram's words kept replaying in her mind. Ask your precious general. He knows more about your father's death than he tells you. Could it be true? Could it? The man who saluted her at the parade? The man who promised to help her find justice? Be hiding something? At dawn, the camp stirred to life. Soldiers packed their gear, and the general gave orders with his usual firm tone. When he caught Asha's eyes, he offered a brief nod. But there was something unreadable in his expression. Asha approached him after breakfast. General, she said cautiously. Why did Vikram say you know something about my father's death? The general paused, his hand tightening on the strap of his rifle. Because he wants to divide us, he said sharply. That's how he operates, by planting seeds of doubt. Maybe, Asha replied softly, but the way you reacted last night, it didn't feel like you were telling me the whole truth. But the general's jaw tightened. Asha, your father was my friend. I owe him my life. I would never betray him more. But there are things about that last mission that only Vikram can explain. Until we catch him, I can't give you all the answers. Asha studied him for a long moment, her father's metal warm in her hand. Part of her wanted to trust Rana. He had stood up for her when the whole crowd mocked her. But another part of her remembered Vikram's, ice cold and certain. By noon, they were on the move again. The old mill was abandoned, but the general believed Vikram was still close. They followed a rough trail through the hills, the jeep bumping over stones and dirt. The soldiers stayed alert, scanning the trees for any sign of movement. Asha sat in the back, her mind a whirlwind. Every time the jeep jolted over a rock, she gripped the notebook they had recovered from her father's secret fort. She had read through its pages again last night, and something caught her attention, an unfinished line on the last page. Rana says we cannot trust. The sentence stopped there, the ink smudged as if her father had been interrupted. Asha's blood ran cold when she saw that name. Was her father talking about General Rana, or was it someone else? They stopped at a small roadside dhaba tea stall. For lunch, the soldiers took turns eating, their rifles always within reach. Asha sat quietly at the corner table with the general. Sir, she began hesitantly, did you and my father ever disagree on anything during that mission? The general's spoon paused halfway to his mouth. Why do you ask? Because his notebook mentions something. It says, Rana says we cannot trust, and then it stops. What does that mean? For the first time, Asha saw a flicker of real discomfort in the general's eyes. He set the spoon down. Your father and I did argue during that mission, he admitted. I told him I didn't trust someone in our unit. I didn't know who, but I sensed something was wrong. Maybe that's what he was writing about. Who didn't you trust? Asha pressed. The general's gaze darkened. Vikram, I had doubts about him, even then. Your father didn't want to believe it at first, but in the end, he saw the truth. Asha's heartbeat slowed a little. Maybe the general was telling the truth, or maybe he was carefully choosing his words. That night, they set up camp near a riverbank. The soldiers built a small fire, the orange glow reflecting in the dark water. Asha wandered a few steps away, needing space to think. She sat on a rock, staring at the river, the metal cold in her hand. She remembered a story her father once told her about Rana. He's a man of his word, Asha. If he says he'll protect you, he will. But trust is a double-edged sword. You must always see people for who they are, not who they pretend to be. Could her father have meant something more with those words? While Asha was lost in thought, one of the soldiers approached her quietly. His name was Singh, a young man with kind eyes. He glanced around to make sure no one was listening. Ma'am, Singh said in a low voice. I probably shouldn't say this, but you should be careful. The general, he carries a lot of secrets. Head snapped up. What do you mean? Singh hesitated. There were rumors about that mission, your father's last mission. Some say the orders came from higher up, and that something went wrong because of a wrong call. Some believe the general was partly responsible. I don't know the truth, but I thought you should know. Asha's stomach tightened. Thank you, she whispered. Later, while the camp slept, Asha quietly took the notebook from her bag and reread the last pages by flashlight. Something about the smudged sentence nagged at her. She turned the page over and noticed faint impressions on the paper, as if her father had written on another sheet that had been removed. An idea struck her. She grabbed a pencil and lightly rubbed it over the paper's surface. Slowly, words began to emerge. A hidden message her father had written. Rana says we cannot trust Vikram, but I fear Rana is hiding something too. Asha froze, her breath catching in her throat. Her father had doubted both men. The next morning, Asha confronted the general. She waited until the soldiers were busy loading the jeep and walked up to him, her heart pounding. General, she said firmly, did you hide something from me about my father's death? The general looked at her, his face unreadable. Asha, why are you asking me this again? Because I found something in Papa's notebook. He wrote that he couldn't trust Vikram, but he also wrote that he thought you were hiding something. Is that true? For a long moment, the general said nothing. His silence was louder than any answer. Finally, he spoke. Your father, he was right. There are things I haven't told you, things I swore to take to my grave. Asha's breath quickened. What things? Before the general could answer, a soldier ran toward them, shouting, Sir, we've got company. A black SUV sped down the dirt road, toward them, dust rising. In its wake, the soldiers grabbed their rifles, taking defensive positions. The general's face hardened. Vikram, he muttered. The SUV screeched to a halt, a few hundred meters away. The doors opened, and 4 men in black stepped out, their faces covered. One of them raised his hand and Asha felt her stomach twist. It was Vikram. Rana, Vikram shouted, his voice carrying across the open ground. You brought the girl. Good. saves me the trouble of finding her. The general stepped forward, his hand resting on his sidearm. Let her go, Vikram. This is between you and me. Vikram laughed. Oh no, General. This is about all of us. Arjun, you, me, and the truth that's been buried for years. Usha's blood ran cold. What truth? She called out. Vikram's gaze turned to her, sharp and mocking. Didn't Rana tell you? Your father didn't die in a firefight. He died because someone gave the wrong order. Someone who's standing right next to you. The general's jaw tightened. He's lying. Asha, don't listen to him. But Asha's heart raced. Is it true? She demanded, looking at Rana. The general hesitated just for a second, but it was enough to make Usha's chest tighten with doubt. Vikram smiled coldly. See, he can't even deny it. Before anything else could be said, gunfire erupted. Vikram's men opened fire, and the soldiers returned shots. Chaos exploded around them. Bullets, shouts, the crack of branches as they dove for cover. The general grabbed Usha's arm. Run. Get to the jeep. Asha stumbled toward the vehicle as bullets whizzed past her. She dove behind the jeep, her heart pounding in her ears. The fight ended as suddenly as it began. Vikram's men retreated, dragging one of their wounded. Vikram himself stood at the edge of the road, his eyes locked on Asha. This isn't over, girl, he shouted. Ask him what he did. Ask him about that last night. Then you'll know who really killed your father. And with that, he vanished into the dust. The silence between Asha and General Rana felt heavier than the gunpowder still hanging in the air. His silence was worse than an answer. It made her chest tighten with fear and doubt. Asha's voice cracked as she repeated, Tell me, did you kill my father? The general's jaw clenched. His eyes, dark and steady, finally met hers. No, he said quietly. I didn't kill your father, Asha, but I gave the order that led to his death. Asha staggered back as if the words had slapped her. What? She whispered, her throat dry. The general's gaze didn't waver. That last mission was chaos. We were ambushed. I had to make a choice, send reinforcements to your father's position, or pull back to protect the rest of the unit. I chose to save the others. I thought he could hold his ground, but I was wrong. And I've carried that mistake every day since. Asha's heart pounded, torn between anger and grief. So you left him to die? She whispered, tears stinging her eyes. I didn't know Vikram had betrayed us, the general said, his voice heavy. If I'd known he was feeding information to the enemy, I would never have left Arjun there. I thought I was making a tactical decision, but Vikram turned it into a death sentence. Asha gripped her father's medal, her knuckles white. You should have told me, she said, her voice trembling with fury. You stood there at the parade and saluted me like you were honoring my father's memory, but you were hiding this from me. The general's eyes softened. I saluted you because I respected him. Because I wanted to make things right by helping you, I thought. Maybe if I found the truth about Vikram, it would bring you peace. Peace, Asha scoffed. How can there be peace when my father's blood is on your hands? The general's face tightened with guilt. He didn't try to defend himself. The soldiers watched from a distance. The tension thick in the air. One of them, Singh, stepped forward cautiously. Ma'am, he said gently, what happened that night? No one could have known. The general saved many lives. Your father, he was a hero. He knew the risks. But Usha's mind was spinning. Vikram's words echoed louder now. Ask your precious general. Then you'll know who really killed your father. That night, the campfire flickered weakly under a moonless sky. Asha sat apart from the others, staring into the darkness. The medal lay heavy in her lap. She thought of her father's letter, his words of courage, and the unfinished truth he'd left behind. I fear Rana is hiding something too. Had her father suspected Rana of betrayal? Or was it just mistrust born out of chaos? General Rana approached her quietly, his boots crunching on the dry leaves. Asha, he said softly, I know you hate me right now, and I don't blame you. But we still have a mission. Vikram is out there. If we don't stop him, your father's sacrifice will mean nothing. Asha didn't look at him. You had a chance to save him, she whispered. You chose not to. The general's voice lowered. You think I haven't punished myself every day since? You think I don't see Arjun's face every time I close my eyes? He trusted me. I failed him. I don't want to fail you too. A sudden sound broke the moment, a sharp whistle cutting through the night. The soldiers jumped to their feet, rifles raised. Sir, Singh shouted. Movement in the trees. Usha's heart raced as shadows flickered at the edge of the camp. For a moment, everything was still. Then a voice rang out. Rana? It was Vikram. His tone was mocking yet cold. How does it feel to tell the girl you left her father to die? The general's face darkened. Show yourself, Vikram, he shouted. Laughter echoed through the trees. Oh, I will. But first, let me give the girl something her father wanted her to have. A small package was tossed from the darkness, landing with a thud near the fire. The soldiers aimed their rifles at the trees, but Vikram was already gone. Swallowed by the night, Asha stared at the package. The general moved to pick it up, but Asha stopped him. No, she said, her voice firm. This is for me. She picked it up carefully. It was wrapped in rough cloth, tied with string. Her hands trembled as she untied it. Inside was a small metal box, sold, dented, but sealed. On the lid, scratched into the surface, were the words, "For Asha, from Papa." Asha's breath caught, her fingers shook as she opened the box. Inside, there were two things, a folded letter and a tiny USB drive. She unfolded the letter, her eyes scanning the familiar handwriting. "My dearest Asha, if you find this, it means I did not come home. I want you to know that I am proud of you more than words can say. There are truths I could not tell you when I was alive. I trusted Rana with my life, but I also knew he carried orders from men I did not trust. If anything happens to me, find Vikram. He knows who gave those orders. He knows why I had to die. Be brave, my little soldier. The truth will hurt, but it will set us free. Love, Papa." Asha's hands trembled as she finished reading. She looked at the USB drive, small but heavy with potential secrets. "Give it to me," the general said quietly. Asha clutched it to her chest. "No, my father left this for me. I'll see what's on it." "Asha, listen to me," the general said, his voice urgent. "Vikram gave this to you. It could be a trap. There could be dangerous information on there, things that, if leaked, could cost lives. Or maybe it's the truth you don't want me to see," Asha shot back, her voice sharp. The general's expression hardened. "This isn't about me." "Then let me see it," she said. "If you're not hiding anything, why are you afraid of what's on here?" Before the argument could escalate, a soldier ran up. "Sir, we've got movement again. I think Vikram's circling the camp." The general cursed under his breath. "We can't stay here." Asha slipped the USB into her pocket. "I'm not letting this out of my sight," she said. The general gave her a long look, his jaw tight. "Fine. But when we reach a safe location, we'll open it together." They packed up the camp and moved under the cover of darkness. The night was tense, every sound magnified by the silence of the forest. Asha sat in the jeep, gripping the Espanol and her father's medal as if they were her only anchors. She couldn't stop thinking about her father's letter. "He knows why I had to die." What did that mean? What orders? What truth was buried so deep that her father had to pay for it with his life? By dawn, they reached an abandoned military outpost. It was an old building, falling apart but still sturdy enough for shelter. The general ordered the soldiers to secure the perimeter. Inside, Asha sat at a dusty table, staring at the USB. "I want to see what's on it now," she said. The general sighed and pulled out a rugged military laptop. "Fine, we'll do it. Together?" He inserted the USB, and the screen flickered to life. A folder appeared, labeled simply, "Truth." Asha clicked it. There were several video files and scanned documents. The first video began to play. The footage was grainy, but Asha recognized her father immediately. He was sitting in a dimly lit tent, speaking directly into the camera. "If you're watching this," he said, his voice steady, "it means I didn't make it back. Vikram is not the only traitor. There are people higher up, people who wanted this mission to fail. I have evidence of their betrayal. If this reaches you, Asha, don't trust anyone blindly, not even Rana." Asha's heart stopped. The video continued. "Rana is a good man, but he's bound by orders from corrupt men. He might not tell you everything, but you must find Vikram. He knows the names of those who gave him money to betray us. Trust your heart, Asha. Find the truth." The video ended, leaving only silence. Asha turned to the general, her eyes wide and wet with tears. "So my father, he didn't trust you either." The general's face was pale. "I told you. There are things I haven't said." Arjun was right. "I was following orders I didn't agree with. Orders from people who wanted him out of the way." "Out of the way." Asha's voice rose, anger flaring. "You mean they wanted him dead?" The general didn't answer. The explosion shook the ground like an angry beast. Dust and smoke choked the air, and the old outpost's walls trembled as if they would collapse any second. Asha was thrown to the ground, her ears ringing. The USB drive clutched tightly in her fist. Through the chaos, she saw him. Vikram stood at the entrance, a dark silhouette against the rising smoke. His cold smile cut through the haze like a blade. In one hand, he held a rifle. In the other, a small detonator with a blinking red light. "Well, well," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "The little girl with her father's medal, and the general who pretends to be a hero. How touching." "Vikram," General Rana shouted, aiming his rifle. "Drop the detonator now." Vikram laughed, still giving orders. "Rana, always the loyal dog. But tell me, does she know how you really failed her father? Or are you still spinning your noble soldier lies?" Asha staggered to her feet, her body trembling. "What do you mean?" she demanded, her voice cracking. Vikram's sharp gaze landed on her. "Oh, you still don't know? Poor girl. Your father died because of Rana's strategic decision. He was told to stand down, to let the enemy take him, so the higher-ups could make their dirty deal. Rana didn't just fail him, he followed orders to leave him behind." "That's a lie," Rana barked. "You don't know what you're talking about." Vikram's smirk widened. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I was there. I sold those orders. I carried them out. And you, Rana, obeyed them like the good little soldier you are." Asha's head spun, her chest tightened painfully. "Is that true?" she asked the general, her voice trembling. Rana's face hardened. "Asha, don't listen to him. He's twisting the truth. Yes, I made the call, but I didn't know what he was doing behind our backs. I thought I was saving lives. Lies, Vikram spat. You knew something was wrong. Arjun begged you not to follow those orders and you ignored him. Now his blood stains your hands as much as mine. Before Asha could react, Vikram raised his rifle and fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Enough of this family drama, he said coldly. Asha, you're coming with me. The soldiers aimed their weapons, but Vikram was faster. He yanked Asha toward him, pressing the cold barrel of his gun against her temple. Drop your guns, he ordered, or the girl dies like her father. No, the general shouted. Vikram, this is between you and me. Vikram's grin widened. Oh, it's much bigger than that. She's the key to everything now. Her father's files, her stubborn little heart, they'll all bring me what I want. Asha struggled in his grip, but his hold was like steel. The soldiers hesitated, looking to the general for orders. Put them down, Rana ordered reluctantly, his voice tight. The soldiers obeyed, lowering their rifles to the ground. That's better, Vic said with a sneer. Now, we're going for a little drive. Vikram dragged Asha toward the black SUV parked outside, keeping his gun trained on the general. Follow us, and I'll put a bullet in her head, he warned. Asha's mind raced. Her father's letter, the USB drive, the accusations, everything blurred together into a storm of fear and fury. Why are you doing this? She demanded. Vikram pushed her into the SUV. Because your father died with secrets that could burn this country to the ground, and you, my dear, might be the one holding the match. The SUV roared down the dirt road, leaving the soldiers and the general behind. Asha sat in the back seat, her hands tied, her heart hammering against her ribs. Vikram glanced at her in the rearview mirror, his eyes cold but calculating. You know, he said casually, you have his eyes? Arjun's always full of fire. He was the only man who almost stopped me. Asha glared at him. You killed him? Vikram's expression darkened. No, I betrayed him. Yes, but the man who signed his death? That was someone else. Someone you've been riding with all this time. Back at the outpost, General Rana slammed his fist on the table. We have to get her back, he barked. Singh stepped forward. Sir, Vikram knows the terrain. He'll vanish before we can track him. Then we don't track him, the general growled. We cut him off. I know where he's heading. Where? Singh asked. Rana's eyes hardened. The old border tunnels? That's where he keeps his supplies and his men. We'll hit him before he crosses. In the SUV, Asha's mind whirled. The USB drive was still in her pocket, pressing into her skin like a reminder of her father's last words. She turned to Vikram. Why did you give me the box? She asked. Vikram smirked. Because the truth is poison, Asha, and I want to watch Rana choke on it. When you see what's really on that drive, you'll understand. Your father was a good man, but good men die when they stand in the way of powerful liars. Then why are you helping me? Asha demanded. Helping you? Vikram laughed coldly. No, I'm using you, but you might thank me later. They reached a hidden tunnel entrance carved into the side of a hill. Vikram dragged Asha out of the SUV and into the darkness. Inside, the air was damp and cold, the walls lined with crates of weapons and stolen supplies. This, Vikram said, sweeping his hand around, is where your father's blood built my empire. Every secret he died for, every lie they told, it's all hidden here. Asha stared at him, anger and confusion battling inside her. If you hated my father, why not leave him in peace? Why bring me into this? Vikram's face softened slightly, almost like regret flickered in his eyes. Because he tried to save me once. He believed I could still be loyal, and I betrayed him. Now, maybe I owe his daughter a truth no one else will give her. Meanwhile, the general's convoy raced toward the tunnels. Rana's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, his mind replaying Arjun's face. He could hear his voice. Don't leave me here, Rana, not like this. Hang on, Asha, he muttered under his breath. I won't fail you too. Back in the tunnel, Vikram led Asha deeper into the shadows. He stopped at a metal cabinet and pulled out a thick folder. Your father kept copies of everything, he said. Reports, names, orders from men who called themselves patriots, but sold our soldiers for money. Rana carried their orders, even when they meant sacrificing his own men. Asha's breath caught. You're saying he knew? Vikram handed her a single page. On it was her father's name, along with Rana's signature authorizing the retreat that left him surrounded. Asha's world tilted. She stared at the paper, the words swimming in her vision. No, she whispered. He wouldn't. The voice was quiet but sharp. The question isn't whether he pulled the trigger. The question is, when it mattered most, did he stand by your father or abandon him? Suddenly, a noise echoed through the tunnel, the sound of boots, guns being cocked. Vikram's expression hardened. Your knight in shining armor is here. Moments later, General Rana burst in with Singh and the soldiers. His rifle was aimed directly at Vikram. Let her go, he barked. Vikram grinned. Right on time, Rana. But does she trust you now, or does she see you for what you are? Asha looked between the two men, the general, standing tall but haunted, and Vikram, broken but defiant. Tell me the truth, Asha demanded, her voice shaking. Did you sign this order? She held up the page with Rana's signature. The general's eyes darkened. Yes, he said finally, but I didn't know it would kill him. I swear it. Vikram laughed harshly. Hear that? Even your hero admits it. Shut up, Vikram, Rana growled. No, Asha said sharply. I want the truth. All of it. Did you know they wanted my father dead? The general hesitated, his silence slicing her heart like a blade. The explosion ripped through the tunnel like a thunderclap. Flames roared as the crates of ammunition ignited, sending a wave of heat and smoke surging through the narrow passage. The ground trembled, rocks falling from the ceiling, and the air filled with choking dust. Asha. General Rana's voice was lost in the chaos as he dove to shield her from a falling beam. Asha's ears rang as she stumbled, coughing, her hands shaking. Through the haze, she saw Vikram vanish deeper into the tunnel, his laughter echoing like a madman's. Run. Rana grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the exit, but a deafening crack split the tunnel as part of the ceiling caved in. Ceiling, the way they came, were trapped. Singh shouted from the other side, pounding on the blocked passage. Rana scanned the tunnel, his mind racing. There must be another exit. Vikram wouldn't set off an explosion if he didn't have a way out. Asha's chest tightened with fear. The smoke was thick now, and her lungs burned. What if we don't find it? She gasped. Then we make one, Rana said grimly. Stay close to me. They moved quickly, deeper into the tunnels, but the flickering light from the fire behind them cast long, twisted shadows on the walls. Every sound, the crack of wood, the distant echoes made Asha's heart hammer harder. Why is he doing this? Asha whispered, her voice trembling. Rana didn't answer at first, his eyes scanning the path ahead. Because he wants to break you, he said finally. He thinks if he shows you enough pain, enough lies, you'll hate everyone including me. Maybe he's right, Asha said bitterly. Maybe I already do. The words cut him deeper than any bullet could. He didn't reply. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, they reached a large underground chamber. The ceiling was high and blackened by soot, and old metal doors lined the walls. In the center of the room stood Vikram, waiting. Well, look who survived, Vikram said with a cold smile. I was starting to think the fire would finish my job for me. Let her go, Vikram, Rana said, raising his rifle. Vikram laughed, still giving orders. Didn't work so well last time, did it, General? Or should I remind the girl how your orders killed her father? Asha stepped forward, her voice shaking but strong. Enough, I want the truth. Both of you. Vikram tilted his head. Oh, you want the truth? Fine. Let me give you a story, little soldier. The night your father died, he wasn't just fighting enemies on the battlefield. He was fighting his own commanders. They didn't want him to succeed. They wanted him silenced. Rana's face hardened. Don't listen to him, Asha. He's twisting the facts. Am I? Vikram sneered. Or do you just not want her to know that you obeyed those corrupt orders? Orders that cost Arjun his life. Asha's voice cracked as she turned to Rana. Is it true? Did you follow orders that you knew would get my father killed? Rana's shoulders sagged as if the weight of the past finally crushed him. I didn't know they wanted him dead, he admitted, but yes, I followed orders, and I've regretted it every day since. Vikram grinned like a predator. Hear that, girl? He admits it. He left your father to die, and now he wants you to trust him. The air between them was electric with anger and grief. Asha clutched her father's metal so tightly it cut into her palm. You both disgust me, she said, tears blurring her vision. You both took him from me. Rana flinched, but Vikram's smirk remained. Maybe you're finally starting to see the world as it is. There are no heroes, only survivors. Suddenly, Vikram grabbed a pistol from his holster and aimed it at Rana. Time to finish what I started, he said, his finger tightening on the trigger. No, Asha screamed. She lunged forward without thinking, slamming into Vikram's arm. The shot went wide, ricocheting off the wall with a deafening crack. Vikram snarled and shoved her aside. You're just like your father, always in the way. Rana fired, his bullet grazing Vikram's shoulder. The traitor stumbled, clutching his arm, but he didn't stop. He dashed behind a stack of crates, firing wildly. Stay down, Rana shouted, dragging Asha behind cover. The air filled with gunfire and the acrid smell of smoke and metal. Asha's hands shook as she pressed her back against the cold wall, her mind spinning. I can't just sit here. Papa wouldn't. She spotted a metal rod on the ground and grabbed it. Crawling low, she circled toward Vikram's position. When Vikram peeked out to fire again, Asha struck. She slammed the rod into his hand, knocking the gun away. Vikram roared in pain and spun toward her, his face twisted with rage. You little... He lunged, grabbing her by the collar. Before he could hurt her, Rana tackled him from behind, the two men crashing to the ground. They struggled, fists flying, the clash of past guilt and betrayal fueling every blow. Asha scrambled to her feet, breathing hard. The USB drive was still in her pocket, and suddenly she knew, this is the only way to end this. Stop, she shouted, holding up the USB. Papa left this for the truth. He wanted it to come out. If you two kill each other, nothing will change. I'll show the world what's on here, with or without you. Both men froze, panting. Rana's eyes widened. Asha. Vikram's smile returned, slow and dark. Go ahead. But when you see what's on there, you'll realize how deep this betrayal goes. Your father didn't just die because of me. He died because of them. What do you mean? Asha demanded. Vikram's voice dropped, almost like a confession. Your father discovered something, a plan of illegal operations, stolen funds. He was going to expose it. So they silenced him. And Rana, well, he followed orders like the good soldier he is. Asha's breath caught. You're saying my father was murdered because he knew too much? Exactly, Vikram said. Rana's face twisted with anger. You don't know that for sure. You're just trying to poison her. Mine, Vikram laughed bitterly. Am I? Or do you know I'm right? Deep down, before Asha could respond, a low rumble echoed through the tunnel. The fire from the earlier explosion was spreading, the heat creeping closer. We have to move, Rana shouted. Now, or we're all dead. Vikram smirked. Then lead the way. General, show the girl how good you are at running when things get messy. They raced deeper into the tunnels, the walls shaking as more crates exploded behind them. Asha's lungs burned, but she pushed forward, the USB clutched in her hand. At last, they found a rusted ladder leading up to a heavy hatch. Rana climbed first, forcing it open with a groan. Sunlight streamed in, blinding after the darkness. Go, Asha, he shouted. She climbed quickly, but as she reached the top, Vikram grabbed her ankle. Give me the drive, he snarled. No, she kicked at him, but his grip was iron. Rana grabbed Vikram from below, yanking him off the ladder. The two men crashed to the ground, wrestling once more. Asha scrambled out of the hatch, gasping for air. She turned back to see them still fighting, the flames creeping closer. Rana, she shouted. Come on. The smoke curled like angry spirits around Asha as she stood frozen above the hatch. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Torn between the sight of General Rana bleeding below and the USB drive burning like fire in her hand, Vikram's voice cut through the chaos, low and taunting. Choose, girl, he sneered, his knife glinting in the dim tunnel light. Save your precious general, or save the truth your father died for. Asha's breath came in ragged bursts. How do I choose? Papa wanted the truth, but can I let another man die in front of me? Run, Asha. Rana's voice thundered, hoarse but commanding. Get out of here. Take the drive, don't let him win. Vikram's laughter echoed, harsh and cruel. Listen to him. He's always been good at giving orders. Too bad his orders killed your father. Asha's mind flashed back to her father's letter. The truth will hurt, but it will set us free. He had trusted her to find it. He had trusted her to be strong, but could she be strong enough to leave Rana behind? No, Asha shouted, her voice shaking but fierce. I'm not leaving either of you, not like this. With trembling hands, she tied the USB securely to her necklace, slipping it under her shirt. If this truth is worth dying for, then I'll protect it. But I won't let more blood spill because of it. She climbed back down into the tunnel, coughing from the smoke. Rana looked up at her, pain etched across his face. Asha, what are you doing? Helping? She said through gritted teeth. Vikram's smile faltered for a split second as Asha grabbed a loose metal pipe from the ground. With a burst of courage, she swung it at him. The pipe struck his wrist, and the knife clattered to the floor. You little Vikram snarled, lunging at her. But Rana, using his last ounce of strength, tackled him from the side. Both men crashed to the ground, their fists slamming into each other. Asha, go. Rana barked as he struggled with Vikram. No, she shouted back. I'm not running while you're down here. She spotted a broken chain lying nearby and grabbed it. With quick, desperate movements, she looped it around Vikram's arm as he tried to rise. He roared, thrashing like a wild animal, but Asha yanked with all her strength while Rana pinned him together. They bound Vikram's arms, locking the chain around a metal beam. Vikram glared at her, his chest heaving. You're just like your father, he spat. Always thinking you can win against men like me, but the truth will crush you, girl. It will crush him too. Asha's hands shook, but she met his glare. Maybe it will, she said, her voice trembling, but I'll face it. I won't run from it like you do. Rana stumbled to his feet, clutching his bleeding arm. We need to move, he said, his voice tight with pain. The fire's spreading. Asha nodded, her eyes flicking. To Vikram one last time. What about him? Rana's jaw tightened. He made his choice. For a moment Asha hesitated, staring at Vikram, who only sneered back at her. Go, he said mockingly. Run. You'll see soon enough that I'm the only one who told you the truth. With a heavy heart, Asha followed Rana up the ladder. As they climbed out, a second explosion ripped through the tunnel, shaking the ground. The hatch slammed shut behind them as a cloud of smoke burst out. Asha collapsed on the ground outside, coughing and trembling. Did Vikram? Rana looked back at the hatch, his face grim. I don't know. But if he survived, he'll come for you again. They staggered toward the waiting convoy. Singh rushed forward, his face pale. Sir, you're hurt. Me see, later, Rana said, waving him off. We need to get out of here. This whole place is about to blow. The soldiers helped Asha into the jeep. Her hands were still shaking, her mind replaying the moment she left Vikram chained. In that burning tunnel, did I just kill him? She clutched her father's metal tightly, her heart aching. The ride back was silent. The jeep rumbled over rough roads, and every bump made Rana wince from his wound. Asha sat next to him, her thoughts a storm of anger, guilt, and fear. Finally, she broke the silence. General, was Vikram right? About the orders. About you. Rana's face was pale, his jaw clenched. I told you what I knew, he said quietly. I followed orders that I shouldn't have. I didn't know the truth until it was too late. If I could go back, I'd change everything. But you can't, Asha said bitterly. No, Rana admitted, his voice heavy. I can't. But I can help you find the people who gave those orders, the ones who wanted your father dead. Asha looked at the USB drive under her shirt. The truth is on here, she said. Papa left it for me, but I'm scared of what I'll find. Rana turned his gaze to her. The truth hurts, Asha. It always does. But your father believed you were strong enough to face it, and so do I. They reached a safe house by nightfall. It was a small, hidden cabin surrounded by trees. The soldiers secured the perimeter, while Asha and Rana went inside. The general sank onto a chair, his face pale from blood loss. Singh began tending to his wound, but Rana's eyes stayed on Asha. Open it, he said quietly. Let's see what your father wanted us to know. Asha hesitated, her fingers trembling as she plugged the USB into the laptop. The folder labeled Truth opened again, but this time she noticed a locked file she hadn't seen before. She whispered, clicking on it. A password prompt appeared. What's the password? Singh asked softly. Usha's mind raced. Then, almost instinctively, she typed, Little Soldier, the name her father always called her. The file unlocked. Inside was a video, newer than the others. Her father's face filled the screen. He looked tired, his eyes shadowed with worry. Asha, he said, his voice soft. If you're watching this, it means the worst has happened. I want you to know something important. I discovered a betrayal within our own ranks. Vikram was part of it, yes, but he wasn't alone. Powerful people ordered him to destroy us, and they used General Rana's loyalty to carry out their plan, without him even knowing it. He's not your enemy, he's just another soldier caught in their trap. Asha's breath caught. Tears blurred her vision as her father's voice continued. Trust Rana, but be careful. The people behind this will come after you too. You must finish what I started. Find the names, expose them. Only then will my death mean something. The video ended, leaving the room in silence. Asha wiped her tears. Papa, he didn't hate you, she said softly to Rana. He trusted you. Rana's eyes glistened. Arjun was the best man I ever knew. I failed him once. I won't fail you. But before they could speak further, a soldier burst in. Sir, we've got movement outside. Someone's coming fast on a motorbike. Rana's eyes narrowed. Vikram, he muttered. The motorbike's engine roared like a wild beast as it tore through the forest, its headlights slashing the darkness. Asha stood frozen near the cabin door, clutching her father's metal, her breath shallow. The distant hum grew louder, closer, and it stopped abruptly with the screech of brakes. Positions, General Rana barked, ignoring the pain in his wounded arm. Singh and the other soldiers took cover behind trees, rifles ready, their eyes scanning the shadows. The forest fell silent, unnaturally still, as if holding its breath. Then, a voice sliced through the night. Rana. It was Vic. His tone was mocking, but there was a raw edge of rage beneath it. Did you really think chains and fire could stop me? You should know better. I don't die that easily. Asha's chest tightened. He survived. She could almost see him grinning. In the dark, come out. Rana. Vikram called again. Let the girl hear how her hero plans to lie to her again. Rana stepped out of the cabin, his rifle steady despite the blood seeping through the bandage on his arm. It ends tonight, Vikram, he said, his voice low but carrying power. Vikram laughed, the sound harsh and wild. Oh, I agree. Tonight, the truth comes out tanned. One of us doesn't leave these woods alive. Asha moved to the doorway. To stay inside, Vikram, she shouted. What do you want from me? Haven't you caused enough pain? There was a pause, and then Vikram's voice softened slightly. I want you to see the truth, little soldier. I want you to know the people you're fighting for aren't worth your father's blood. Before anyone could answer, a sudden crack of gunfire split the night. Bullets ripped through the trees, and the soldiers fired back. The forest exploded with chaos. Stay down, Singh yelled, pulling Asha behind cover. But Asha's eyes were on the shadows, where she caught a glimpse of Vikram moving through the trees like a ghost. Cover me, Rana shouted. He dashed toward the woods, weaving between trunks as bullets whistled past him. His one goal was clear. End Vikram before he reached Asha. Asha's heart pounded. She wanted to stay back, but something inside hers and fierce, desperate courage pushed her forward. Grabbing a handgun from the table, she followed Rana into the trees. The forest was a blur of gunfire, shouting, and smoke. Asha moved silently, ducking low, her father's words echoing in her mind. Be brave, my little soldier. She spotted Rana about 20 meters ahead, crouched behind a fallen log. Across from him, Vikram lurked in the shadows, his rifle aimed, and ready. Rana, Vikram shouted. Tell her the whole truth before I do. Tell her how you signed the paper that left Arjun to die. Rana's voice was firm but pained. I followed orders, Vic. I didn't know they were corrupt. I didn't know you were working with them. Vikram's laugh was bitter. Always the loyal dog. You'll never admit that you're just as guilty as me. Asha's breath caught. She stepped out from behind a tree, raising her voice. Stop it, both of you. This is what they want to make us fight each other, instead of finding the real enemy. Vikram's eyes flicked to her. The real enemy. Girl, the enemy is standing right beside you. In that split second, Rana fired. The bullet whizzed past Vikram, grazing his shoulder. Vikram hissed in pain and returned fire, hitting the log where Rana crouched. Splinters flew. Asha ducked, her heart pounding. Papa wouldn't want this, she shouted, tears streaming down her face. He wanted the truth, not more death. Vikram paused, his breathing ragged. Your father, he was too good for this rotten world, he said, almost to himself. Then his voice hardened. But I won't stop until everyone who betrayed him is punished. Starting with Rana. No, Asha cried. She raised her handgun, her hands shaking. Vikram smirked. Would you shoot me, little soldier? Would you kill for the truth? Suddenly, a loud click echoed from behind Asha. She spun around. One of Vikram's men had flanked her, aiming a rifle at her chest. Asha, Rana roared, charging from his cover. Everything happened in a blur. Gunfire erupted again. Asha dropped to the ground as Rana tackled the attacker, wresting the rifle from his hands. When the chaos cleared for a moment, Vikram was gone. The forest was eerily quiet except for the distant crackle of fire and Rana's labored breathing. He's circling back, Rana muttered, scanning the trees. He's after you, Asha. Stay close. They moved cautiously back toward the cabin, but Asha's thoughts were a storm. Who is telling the truth? Is Vikram just a monster? Or is Rana hiding something worse? She touched the USB under her shirt. The answers are in here, but will I have the courage to see them? When they reached the cabin, Singh reported grimly, 2 of our men are down, sir. Vikram's men are everywhere. We won't hold them off for long. Rana's jaw tightened. Then we make our stand here. No one gets to Asha. But General, that's an order, Rana snapped. As the soldiers fortified the cabin. Asha sat by the window, gripping the metal and the handgun. She felt the weight of her father's voice inside her, pushing her forward. Rana sat beside her, his face pale from blood loss. Asha, if I don't make it through this, promise me you'll keep going. Find the names on that drive. Expose them. That's what your father died for. Asha swallowed hard. You're not going to die, she said fiercely. Not while I'm here. Suddenly, a loud crash came from outside, the sound of a motorbike smashing through the gates. Vikram was here. The soldiers opened fire, but Vikram moved like lightning, taking cover and returning shots. He was alone now, but deadlier than ever. Asha, he shouted through the chaos. Come with me. I'll show you the truth they're hiding. Or stay with Rana and die with his lies. Asha's heart pounded. Rana, what if he's telling the truth? She whispered. Rana looked her in the eye, his voice steady despite the storm outside. Then go. But if you believe in your father and what he stood for, stay with me. We'll fight this together. Asha's entire body trembled as the cabin filled with the stench of gunpowder and fear. Outside, Vikram's voice tore through the night like a jagged blade. Last chance. Little soldier, he roared. Come with me and I'll give you the truth. Your father died for. Stay with that coward Rana, and you'll burn with him. Inside, Rana's soldiers were tense, their rifles ready, their breaths shallow. Singh looked at Asha, his face etched with worry. Don't listen to him, Singh said, his voice urgent. Vikram is poison. He'll twist everything. But Asha couldn't move. Her father's words echoed in her head. The truth will hurt, but it will set us free. Was Vikram holding that truth? Or was he simply using her pain like a weapon? Rana stepped closer, his wounded arm wrapped in a bloody bandage. His voice was low, steady. Asha, look at me. She turned to him, her eyes glassy with fear. You don't owe him anything, Rana said. Your father's fight wasn't about following men like Vikram. It was about protecting people. About protecting you. We'll find the truth together, if we survive tonight. Asha's heart pounded in her chest. What if he's right about you? What if you really left Papa to die? Rana's jaw tightened. I've made mistakes. I won't deny that. But I never betrayed your father. I loved him like a brother. The sincerity in Rana's eyes made Asha's throat tighten. Still, doubt gnawed at her. The next moment shattered her thoughts. A Molotov cocktail came flying through the window, crashing into the wooden floor. Flames roared to life. Instantly, the soldiers scrambled, throwing blankets over the fire. Vikram's mocking laugh rang out. What's it going to be, girl? Step outside or watch them all burn. Asha's chest heaved as she turned toward the door. Her hand brushed the USB under her shirt. This is what he wants, she thought. The truth that's locked inside here. Stay. Inside, Singh shouted. No, Asha said, her voice trembling but firm. This ends now. She stepped toward the door. Rana grabbed her arm, his voice rough. Asha, don't. It's a trap. I don't care, she said. I'm tired of running. I'll face him. The night air hit her like ice as she stepped. Outside, the clearing was lit by the glow of burning wood, and Vikram stood near his motorbike, his rifle slung casually over his shoulder, his dark eyes fixed on her. Good girl, he said with a grin. You're braver than he is. What do you want? Asha demanded. Why are you doing this? Vikram's smile faded. Because your father deserved better. He trusted the wrong people. People like Rana. People who follow orders without question. while the powerful get rich on blood and lies. That doesn't mean you had to kill him, Asha shouted, tears streaming down her face. Vikram's jaw tightened. I didn't want to kill him. I wanted him on my side. But when he refused to play their game, I added what I had to do. His voice cracked for a moment, and in that moment Asha saw not just a monster, but a man broken by guilt. Behind her, Rana emerged from the cabin, his rifle aimed at Vikram. Put the gun down, Rana ordered. Vikram laughed bitterly. Oh, Rana, still pretending you're the hero? Why don't you tell the girl about the day you abandoned her father? Tell her about the orders you signed without even asking why. Enough, Rana shouted. Asha stepped between them, her hands raised. Stop it, both of you. I have the truth right here. She held up the USB drive, the metal glinting in the firelight. Papa left this for me. Whatever's inside, I'll show the world. No more lies. Vikram's eyes narrowed. Give it to me. I'll make sure it's seen by the right people. Don't you dare, Rana said. He'll twist it. Asha, he'll use it to start a war. Asha's fingers tightened around the drive. Then I'll see it for myself. Right here, right now. She walked back inside the cabin, both men following, their weapons still raised. The tension so thick it felt like the air would snap. She plugged the USB into the laptop. The locked folder appeared again. She opened the final file. A video loaded. Her father's face appeared on the screen. His eyes were tired, but his voice was steady. If you're watching this, Aja, it means I didn't make it. I love you. My little soldier, remember that. Asha's breath caught. I found evidence of corruption, men in power who profit from every drop of blood spilled on the battlefield. Vikram was part of it, but so were generals, commanders, and politicians. Rana never knew. He was following orders, thinking they were honorable. He's not your enemy. Asha glanced at Rana, who stood frozen, his eyes shining. Trust him, Asha, he'll protect you when I'm gone. But the real fight is with the ones above us all. Expose them. Don't let my death be in vain. The video ended. Silence filled the room. Asha turned to Vikram, her voice trembling. Papa knew. He forgave Rana, but you? Her eyes hardened. You betrayed him. You chose greed over loyalty. Vikram's face darkened. You think those files will save you? They'll bury you before they let you speak the truth. Suddenly Vikram lunged for the laptop. Rana fired, the bullet grazing Vikram's leg. He stumbled but didn't fall. You'll regret this, Vikram snarled, grabbing a knife from his belt. Asha's body moved before her mind could think. She grabbed the metal pipe from the floor and swung it hard, striking Vikram's arm. The knife clattered away. Rana tackled him, the two men crashing into a table. Wood splintered as they fought, grunting and clawing like wild animals. Vic overpowered Rana for a moment, slamming his fist into the general's wounded arm. Rana cried out in pain. Stop, Asha screamed. She grabbed the handgun from the table and aimed it. Her hands shook violently. Vikram froze, staring at her. You won't do it? He said, his voice cold and daring. Asha's heart pounded. Papa died because of you, she whispered. How many more have to die before you stop? Vikram sneered. As many as it takes to bring down the rotten system he died for. Then you leave me no choice, Asha said. The shot rang out. Staggered back, clutching his side, his face contorted in pain. He collapsed to the floor, gasping. Rana stared at Asha, shock and sorrow in his eyes. Asha, I didn't want to, she whispered, her voice breaking. But he wasn't going to stop. Vikram coughed, blood on his lips. Maybe you are your father's daughter after all, he rasped, his dark eyes softening for just a moment. Then his head fell back, and he was still. The room was silent except for Asha's ragged breathing. She dropped the gun, her whole body shaking. Rana placed a hand on her shoulder. You did what you had to do, he said gently. Tears streamed down her face. Papa, I just wanted to make you proud. Hours later, when the fire was out and the soldiers had secured the area, Asha stood outside, staring at the horizon. The first light of dawn broke through the trees, warm and golden. Rana joined her, his arm in a sling, his face weary but resolute. Your father was proud of you, he said. I know he was. And so am I. She turned to him, her voice soft but determined. I'm going to finish what he started. I'll expose the people behind all this. Will you help me? Rana nodded slowly. Until my last breath, little soldier.